this room many times, and I'm a Republican. I think I was born a Republican because I come from a family. I'm from Italian origin, and we saw Italy going down the drain because of socialism. Okay, so my family moved to Venezuela. We used to represent air business. We used to have a helicopter brand and things like that. Italian companies represented in Venezuela. When civilian air business went down, we went into the defense business, and I started relations with the defense ministry in Venezuela. I saw unbelievable things, but at the time, even though it might be unbelievable, it is incredible where Venezuela fell. So everywhere I go, I find socialists who persecute me. Finally, I had my son that had told me, you have a little kid, what is it that you want? Because at the time in Venezuela, I used to work also as a Venezuelan for young entrepreneurs. I was the vice president of the institution. It turned political. We had like 50,000 people. What we used to teach the kids coming out of university, same thing we're trying to teach the kids here, capitalism. They cannot even open a lemon stand because they don't know the rules, they don't know what's going on, they know everything in the books, but they don't know how it works out there. So we used to help. When it became political, I said, there he goes, okay? And I used to write in newspapers. And I knew the truth because with the Ministry of Defense, I used to hear Chavez was coming, and he was coming from Cuba. So that thing that Chavez turns into the Cuban thing 7 years later, that's a lie. And there I decided to go everywhere in the society of Venezuela. I had business, I wrote in newspapers, and everybody asked, Perosh, where do you get these things? So I was at the time the conspiracy theorist. Let me tell you something about conspiracy theorists. The biggest conspiracy theorist in history, it was Noah and in its ark, till it started to rain. Okay, so I went everywhere, telling, watch it, warn it, listen. Cubans were good people. They used to tell our brothers, be careful. And that's why we arrogantly, and I want to say we because I wasn't agreeing with it, don't worry, Venezuela's rich, Venezuela's #1 country in Latin America, this is not going to happen here. So my wife at the time used to tell me, listen, quit it, we can go to parties, everybody wants to know what the hell is wrong with your husband, where he doesn't get these ideas. When I saw the Titanic sinking and everybody just having whiskey and dancing, I said, let's pack it up, let's leave for United States. I get here, and I find exactly the same thing with the same agenda. People, this is the Castro-Chavista agenda put here, okay? We are back to it. Inflation, devaluation, police is bad, racism is up, okay? And now with police is bad, crime is up, okay? Do you see some institutions, they're called colectivos in Venezuela, they're paid by the government to create chaos. What is the institution? Chaos, you remember Chavez, he always had an enemy, there was always a problem, there was always a crisis. You know why? Because you rule in emergency. Anything that you see similarities here is not casual. Okay? Why? There is a crisis at the border, there is a financial crisis, there is a scarcity crisis. The first thing we saw in Venezuela was fraud, and then suddenly you go buy the Pampers for your kid, there are no Pampers in the thing. And that was a rich country. Now, look where they are. So I'm here, and I'm born in Venezuela, my family comes from Italy, and I am telling you, as some socialists, finish off these countries. Italy is still Italy, but believe me, we didn't even qualify for the soccer World Cup. That bad was the situation with socialism. Okay, so now Venezuela is what it is, and now we're here, and you see how everything is suffering. Everything, and we shouldn't be here. Elections have their consequences. People. Elections have the consequences. We saw Venezuela being disarmed. There used to be an association for armed people, the good civilians, they are disarmed. There is not one country in the world that's gotten disarmed that has a good story to tell. Mr. Valdez, they're here. I am telling you, I'm running for state representative. I'm announcing my candidacy. I'm running Republican with the values. I'll make it short because it's long and we'll have an election. I don't have to tell you what our values are, okay? I am anti-abortionist. I am for freedom. I believe in Catholic Church. I am a Catholic, and I've seen friends of mine voting for the guys in Washington, and then they say, well, we're ashamed of what we did. You should. Right now, America divides into two. We are really divided. I'll tell you how we're divided right now after 13 months of this administration. We are divided among those who are really ashamed to have voted for that man, and those who pretend they are not ashamed to have voted for that man. You understand? So my work now is to convince those who are ashamed, because the ones that are pretending, that are very hard. So the governor once gave me a microphone and I said, look, we come from Venezuela, we come from the future, and we come to warn you, do not flirt with disaster. If we don't make it November 22 and we get the legislatively back, believe me, 2024 is just decor. Whoever goes into the White House, that's it, because legislatively rules. I am District 113, I'm beyond enemy lines. That means my district, I feel lonely because nobody wants it. It's full of liberals, it's really, really democratic, and I have to work hard. I ask for your support. This is Key Biscayne, Brickell, downtown, Coral Way, Coral Gables. This is Coconut Grove. This is Minefield. Okay? Thank you very much. I appreciate District 113. Alberto Pedro, I appreciate it. Thank you.
And this is what we need, fighting the front in every single district. Just because, and then after redistricting, there is a shot. It has to be worked, but it can absolutely be done. And we thank you for that. And this is a perfect example. Give me a minute. I'll get you. Alberto Perosh. Folks, this is a perfect example of why we have to be united. There will be a time of reckoning that will come, but we can't have reckoning if we don't have Washington, if we don't have the House, and we don't have the Senate, and we don't keep Florida in the red column. This is a time for us as Republicans to unite and get people like Perosh, make sure we get people elected. So with that, I'm going to have Kevin Cooper's going to call people up every by threes or fours.